Hello, hello, hello. Well, today apparently is not as popular a topic, but I actually got asked a bunch about this throughout the week. Ever since I started announcing about my upcoming vacation, I've had people asking me to go do a Zoom about it. So I hope those of you who are tuning in or listening to the recording, I hope that this helps. I want to take a different approach to it. I want to talk more about the anxiety and all of the planning and prep beforehand. And then I'll give some glimpse into what I would suggest while on vacation. But truly, I think how you set yourself up in the beginning of your trip really does a lot for the rest of your trip, especially when you're dealing with like chronic illness and stuff like that. So, as per usual, I have the chat open. What planning? That's what we're going to talk about. But like packing, things like that. Um, Getting your mindset just ready for it because I put up a post today that was like, do you ever feel nervous, even like excited and nervous leading up to vacation? Because all day I've been thinking, okay, did I pack this? Did I pack that? So I wanted to make sure because as nervous as I get now, back in the day, I was a disaster before I went on trips. So I wanted to share whatever little systems, I say that in quotes, I figured out in case they could help you guys. So, okay, let's do it. So let's talk first. Why do you think anxiety comes up around something like travel? Whether it's travel for something you're excited about, travel for something that you're like forced to go to do, like what is it about travel that you think for you is the most nerve wracking? You aren't in control of the situation or your natural habitat. Mhm. Things aren't in our control, flight times, etc. I hate flying. I hate it. Hate it. If I could, I would just be driven. I don't care if I gotta like I can't drive, so I would be driven. I don't care if we gotta drive 20 hours. If someone was down to do that or it wouldn't cost a lot, always my preferred method. But can't exactly do that to Greece. So I digress. It's not my normal routine, and I worry about access to food. Boat, oh, to Greece? Yeah, I mean, that would be a voyage. That would be a voyage. It would be like an ancestral voyage. Like my grandpa did this, Um, my parents flew. They were they didn't get the boat experience. But also I love traveling and food is such a wonderful way to just let go and vacation. Oh my, when I tell you, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for my first bite of a gyro, whatever. I can't wait. Okay, it's a lot on me physically, totally. Um, when I was traveling during my like really heightened RA and like scleroderma days, like after my neck surgery and everything like that, like the idea of moving about an airport alone, let alone what I would actually do while there, was just it felt like a waste, you know? So, okay. It's a different routine. How about we might forget something, right? Scared of how we're gonna look on vacation, if it's gonna be good enough. What are some other things? Like, I want to know, like, what do you feel spoiled for thinking when it comes to being afraid to travel? What, like, if we're being completely transparent, what little negatives are there that you feel bad are negatives? I'm not gonna lie, I feel bad, but I'm like, am I gonna be bored? Like, what if I plan all the wrong things? What if the restaurant I pick sucks? Like sounds like really first world problems, right? But like that is stress. Will those outfits look cute on Instagram in a week? Yeah. I get so anxious that my bag will be heavier than 50 pounds. Yeah. Even that. And I feel like even if they have the home scales, it's like my home scale would be messed up. Like that would be my luck. If travel partners are grumpy or annoying, oh, that's who you're traveling with is massive. I have traveled with friends on vacation. Let me tell you, Nick is a great travel partner because he's super go with the flow. Like he'll eat anything you want to try. Like he'll go anywhere. Like, he's just very go with the flow. He doesn't like have a lot of anxiety to see a lot of things. So it's like I'm the one pushing, but he's like down for it. I have been on vacation. If you are going on a trip with someone you know is the opposite travel style of you, whether that is a partner, a friend, whatever, family, people who travel on, you bring your parents along, especially family with a bunch of kids. That's great. We grew up with my grandma coming with us on trips, but that doesn't mean that that's not stressful. All of that is stressful. Um, if if I have enough money to be comfortable, absolutely. Like, what if it's better on paper? You spend all this money, you can't do half the things that would make it that epic trip when you go, or I remember like feeling like what was it? We were at a vacation. Okay, we went to Nick's parents, they have a timeshare. So they gave us one of their weeks to go to Mexico. We found like cheap deals and everything. And then we thought like we were supposed to get a certain level of excursions with it. And I was really excited. And then we found out we had to pay for these excursions and a lot of other things that we didn't anticipate. And it sucked because like you're in this beautiful resort location, but you're like being reminded that there's all these things around you that like you cannot do. So like what are you, and we weren't drinking fun. This is such a long story, but I was sick and Nick had a UTI, and UTIs, I've had those in the past. I felt so bad for him as a man having a UTI. Like, whew. So needless to say, we weren't drinking either. Like there was nothing to do with this all-inclusive resort because we couldn't afford to do the excursions that we wanted to do. And it was like, it sounds like a first world problem, but like no one wants to still pay money to go travel somewhere to then be reminded of that, so it's always like a fine balance of like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Language barriers, I've never minded that because I've tried to be respectful of it, except when I was in Croatia and they were straight up mean. Like Croatian people did not like tourists, like because the tourists there were Americans and people from the UK a lot, like we were inundated in that area, and like they made no bones about like they could not stand it, if you didn't speak Croatian. But other places I've found they're like usually pretty excited to try and talk with you, and I feel like even if they're doing a half of a good job, they still speak one more language than I do, so but it's definitely nerve-wracking when it's like, I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to be trapped somewhere where no one speaks what I speak. Like your phone can get you so far, I would be speaking differently and going to visit my dad's homeland of Argentina. So, but being considered the fat American, that is such a nuanced and untalked about part of travel. You guys have seen me. I follow Ms. Giggles on Instagram. I absolutely love her. I've known her for a while now. Like we grew up in the same area, and like I love that she speaks on that. Fat travel solo, fat travel as in a couple, like all of that, like that does not get talked about enough. And it is something that is like another facet that has to be hidden and tucked away into all your vacation tolls, so all of this going ahead, planning for it, you feel like you should be excited, like you feel bad that you're not excited, but you're worrying about all of these other things. It's still, my philosophy on this, no matter how inconvenient the feeling is important, it's there for a reason. So, my hope is these tips I'm going to give you will hopefully take as much off your plate practically so that the emotional stuff can get your energy so that you can get yourself prepped to have a good time. Like I said in the beginning, if you're starting off really stressed before you even leave, especially with these chronically ill bodies that don't do well with stress, you don't want to spend all this money and go through all this effort and then have to start off your vacation not feeling like the best you can. So let's start here. Okay, let's talk about packing. Here's how I manage beforehand. Packing. Pack your kids and other people's stuff. Don't pack that stuff first. A lot of times we tend to, or at least the clients that I've spoken to, will pack their kids' stuff first because what did I write here? Sorry, I'm just trying to. I had like a diabetic emergency today, so my brain is like slowly putting the pieces back together. Pack your stuff first. Don't pack your kids' stuff first because your stuff is more stressful. So how many of you guys watching this are the types to say, if I pack too early, I get nervous that I forgot something, or I hate packing way earlier. Like I hate waiting to the last minute, but I need to. Who feels like that? Because I used to. And I hear that all the time from clients. And I'm telling you, I used to be the same boat. So there's a way to kind of take care of both, right? So you start packing your stuff ahead of time. The goal is going to be packing up until the last minute, but to not pack everything at the last minute, because then that's going to be stress central and you're going to be terrified you're going to forget something, even if it feels like you're like super sharp. That's just adrenaline making you feel that way. So you pack your stuff because you can take the most time thinking about it. And the way you do this without feeling nervous is you have a system. So the first thing you do is you make a list of things that you could not replace where you're going. So things that you need that you could not, worst case scenario, you could not buy in the place that you're at should you forget it. This is the stuff that's like the keep you up at night stuff, right? Make that its own list. And you start, it's who's done Eat the Frog with me? Essentially a similar thing where you start with that. So Izzy, I see your comment there. I'm going to read it next roundup. So you start packing your stuff. Sorry, brain rebooting. Pack your most stressful stuff first. Eat the frog with your packing. So if it's the stuff that you're most terrified to not remember, you have, let's say, 2 weeks where you can continue to think about that, but not from a place of like, oh my God, because you have 2 weeks. You can just make sure you're very thorough with this list of necessities that you don't want to forget. Then pack, you just make the list. Don't pack the stuff yet, but just make the list, right? What you are going to pack first ahead of time is the stuff that's like non-essential. Like outfits that you like, you're going to need a bathing suit, throw them in there. You're going to need sunscreen, throw it in there. Like just basic stuff that you need. That doesn't matter. Like you could grab that in 10 seconds if you had to run out the door at that moment, because that's the basic stuff. That's the stuff you pre-pack into your suitcases and you leave them out for a bit. Like leave them in front of you. Okay. Then what you do is you enlist someone to cross-check your necessities list. Have them cross-check it with you. Have them bring it back down to earth if it's like 75 pages long. If like nobody really needs that amount. I have OCD and I'm a hoarder. I get it. This is why I have someone cross-check. And I know ahead of time that I'm going to listen to them. If it's something that I really, really feel like I could not replace, that I would really, really need, I mean, no, it is what it is. It might go in the bag, but having someone cross-check you, the hopes are that it does at least slim it down or help you remember something you forgot. Okay. Then you put your necessities throughout like the week prior to your trip. So now we got our suitcases out. We got the non-necessities in them. We have our list of stuff we could not get somewhere else. And we have someone else checking that we're good with that list. Now you're going to take the week before your trip, you're going to take your necessity items, like specific outfits, medications, things like that. And you're not going to pack it. You're going to put it by the suitcase. So that is going to become your trip control center. If throughout the week, anything that you remember, anything in your orbit, anything just goes over to the pile. What you're leaving for last is deciding and editing what actually goes into the luggage. So you guys see the process you're working on here? You're chunking it out. You're eating the frogs. You're getting the most stressful stuff jotted down and accounted for, right? Then you're getting your, you're packing all your necessities by your suitcase, not in it, so you can still see it. Object permanence isn't getting triggered or anything, right? And in the meantime, that week you can pack the other people's stuff, like your kids, if you're helping your partner pack, whatever. You can focus on that stuff throughout the week. Then when you would typically wait for absolutely everything to get done, now all you have to do is manage the pile that's by your suitcase to see what you really do actually need to take. You cross-reference with your list that someone else has helped you with. Thoughts on this process? as you're hearing it, taking probably about 2 weeks if you can. I mean, not every trip pops up with that much notice, but for when you can have that much time, taking those 2 weeks to kind of chunk it out that way. Where is my water? Making a list definitely takes me 2 weeks of writing things down as they come up because of how much I forget. Then I only remember a couple of things randomly. I probably should start packing for my trip on Friday. Yes. I feel like this is the only way I could possibly keep things together before I go. Yeah, kind of stick stuff by the carry-on early. Exactly. And I do the process of elimination. And another trick is when you get back from this next trip, when you go to unpack your bag, now, I mean, I know we all got ADHD, so like I'm expecting maybe one person to actually do this, and it's okay. Because I don't know that it's gonna be me. But make a list of things that you take out of your suitcase that you ended up not needing at all. Everybody does this, especially those of us who tend to overpack as it is. There will be stuff that you end up not needing. Make a list of that and keep that with like your adapters and like your travel stuff, wherever you keep it. So next time you go to pack, you have that thought jogger to be like, you might not. And then it just helps you more. So the mechanism here is feeling more put together throughout the process, like not, because there's the anxiety of waiting for that night before moment. That sucks. There's the anxiety of I packed too early. What if I forget something? That sucks. But if you're making the physical steps on yourself as easy as possible, at least you're taking that off your plate and you're not dealing with that on top of all of the stress that might not be as manageable before you go. So, okay, here's a big one. Delegate if you have the ability to delegate to someone else, right? Number one thing I see is, now I'm not saying there ain't no lazy partners out there that literally don't want to do anything. There's all kinds of people. But most of the time, there are a bunch of communication issues that make delegation or feeling helped or whatever really hard. And no one wants to go into a vacation feeling unappreciated because they didn't get enough help preparing for the trip, right? Okay, so here's the thing. With delegation, you have to become okay with good enough. Because a lot of times, just because you're somebody that does more than you're asked to instinctively, doesn't mean that a lot of other people are the same way. And maybe they're people who are used to other people doing more than they're asked. Now, that's just kind of the bar that's been set. Like they don't know anyone has a problem with it until it becomes a problem because people just take on a lot. So, there isn't always a hidden laziness or a hidden meaning or like they'll do it. It's just kind of like maybe they think they're in the way. Maybe they've tried to do stuff and before, and I'm guilty of this, so I'm gonna eat humble pie on this one. If we can all take a look at ourselves, right? Where they're they're trying to help and we shoo them away or we get mad at them for not doing exactly the way we wanted. And again, guilty as charged. I'm not holier than thou here, but I think that sets the tone then where we don't ask as much and then they don't anticipate doing as much because they don't want to make us even more annoyed or angry. So it just becomes a big communication block. When if you were to ask specifically for certain things, and again, this is not for the people who do this already, that is a whole other thing. And it exists. But for the ones that just simply don't ask, they don't want to be nags. They feel like I shouldn't have to ask. All of that. There's a lot of times that if you just specifically said what you needed, it would be no problem and it would get done. Maybe not exactly the way you do it, but in a way that it would get done and nobody would lose sleep. So, okay, but the absolute incompetence sometimes out of my lovely, sweet husband. I get it. Sometimes you're just like, how'd you get this far? Like they just, I think maybe it's just not as much pressure. Like our brains, like we have so much on us in so many other ways. And I feel like maybe them not as much. It still is, but not the same way, where maybe they're just used to not looking at the details. Maybe they're just very used to good enough, done enough, done and done. And honestly, maybe that's the key to it all. It's just like I've thought about that so often because I've tried to take my husband's lead in this as someone with OCD. I look at him and I'm just like, you don't think of the 37 different things that could happen and yet things are okay. He doesn't think of the 37 things that could happen and things are okay. So like I've gotten not totally comfortable with it, but with certain things, I'm kind of like that whole, what could you buy somewhere else thing. I thought of that recently. Hell no, I don't care if we're bringing 4 suitcases. As in the past, I want to be prepared. That was my whole shtick. Now I'm like, we'll try our best. And if we need to buy something, like, what are we going to have there that's going to be all that expensive to replace? We're not bringing a whole lot of stuff, So my point to that is not so much, I mean, maybe it's incompetence. Just make sure nothing, like I said, nothing's going to burn down. No one's going to lose sleep if it's that, like, find that low threshold of done enough. And then the second part to that is specifically ask for what it is. We, especially those of us who are not comfortable asking for help typically, can convolute the way we ask for help so much because we think like, oh, they've got it. But because we don't want to be nags or anything because we feel so bad even asking, but then we'll get mad because we didn't get help afterwards. So we kind of just put ourselves in a position to be upset, So good enough, I think, like we're all just budgeting that mental energy on that plate. And if something could be not your job anymore, and that would be huge for you, and like maybe it's not as nice and tidy and as smartly done as you would do, if it's still good enough to have it off your plate, go with that. So what did I write here? You're not putting on a presentation of Cirque du Soleil. Perfection is not necessary. Chances are it'll be okay. So what did I write here? Okay, this is huge. Improve your self-care and meditation game the week prior. Now, I know the thought might be to go full throttle because you're about to go beyond vacation. But is that not kind of like not eating all day because you have a holiday dinner at night? And like that doesn't usually serve us, right? So again, if you want to mitigate as much stress as possible before your trip so you can enjoy your trip. With these BODs, we got to think of this because our brain is going to be like, no, go, go, go. You got to earn your keep. How could you be lazy the week before your vacation, right? No, why? So you burn yourself out. You don't get what you need to get from your vacation, which is to come back feeling better and refreshed, So try your best to like up your self-care. And like, I don't mean go out spending a ton. I mean, like, even if you just paint something, if you like doing that, watch a show from the beginning again that gives you joy, do your nails, hang out outside for a bit, like just little intentional bits of time for yourself to do whatever the hell you want before your vacation comes, because you're already going to be going full throttle, chances are, with work or preparing things. That's just our nature. So anything you're adding doesn't mean you're taking away responsibility. It just means you're adding some sanity back, that's all. So, okay. Give yourself a stupid amount of time at the airport. I feel like for a lot of people that goes without saying, but for me, I have to reiterate it because I have time blindness. And like, I'm currently dealing with the anxiety of, I really want to hire a car to bring us to the airport, like ahead of time. I don't want to do Uber. I want to do a driving service because I want them to have to be here at a certain time. I want to know that that's set up. I don't want to have any issues with Uber, getting one, to an airport that's far away. Like, it's just a lot. The other alternative is us driving an hour and a half north to my in-laws' house, leaving our car there, and then getting an Uber to the airport. We're going to be doing this like so early compared to when we're supposed to take off, no matter what, because if I don't plan that way, we will be late. And my biggest fear is missing a flight. I can't. I hate it to my core. Like, all of the parts on the spectrum scream. It's just not okay. So get there stupid early. Now I say this with also this next little in like segue, right? If you need wheelchair assistance, I have a lot of clients who have had replacement surgeries, who have chronic inflammatory pain issues that make it very, very difficult. You're going to an airport that you don't know, could potentially be a massive airport, especially if you have a connecting flight. Don't be too proud to set yourself up to not be in pain during your vacation. Like, I'm not saying to abuse this. I'm not saying that like it's if you're a little sleepy or you're running late or something. Like, I'm saying, like, if anything, if you can physically do it, that's why I'm saying get there so early so you can go slow. But you know yourself. Don't gaslight yourself here. And if you need that additional assistance, don't make your trip begin at a deficit because of any reasons, that are short of they just didn't have them, like, don't worry about it. People you are never going to see again are going to judge you, right? Like, and I say this again, I've done this before, especially after my surgery. Like, the stopping and going and stopping and going, the not having places to sit for prolonged periods of time, the like having to hold bags and stuff like that. And especially through large connecting airports, it just, along with the anxiety and everything, right? I got a wheelchair and every single person we passed stared because there's nothing, I don't got like an arm growing out of my head or anything cut off, like people just stare. It's what they're going to do. Your trip, your time, your money, all of the work you've put into being there and being able to enjoy that trip and whatever body you have is not worth being too embarrassed to make sure that you can start off on the best foot possible, pun intended, right? So do it up if you can. Again, you know yourself, don't abuse it, but it's there for a reason. I'm really grateful that it's available to be utilized. I will say Fiumicino Airport, not the best with wheelchair assistance, like dreadful with wheelchair assistance. So message me if you want to hear that story. But aside from that, people have been pretty just straightforward. They just take you to the gate. So, okay. On the flight. Let's talk about on the flight. Anyone else get flying anxiety? I hate flying. Again, every part on the spectrum screams. The fact that I cannot go anywhere, the fact that I am in complete, like, I have to relinquish control to whoever, and I don't even know who they are, what they look like. Like, why do I need to know what they look like? I don't know. It adds to why I hate flying. This is going to sound spoiled. Unless it's first class where I can literally lay down, curl in a ball and sleep and like not, like there's like as little discomfort elsewhere as possible. I, in the past, have had to be heavily medicated for flights. It really hurts to fly because sitting with my legs in the same position for a long time, no good, so how I'm doing it this time, because I am not taking medication. One, not worth the constipation. Those of you who take Xanax understand where I'm coming from, right? Not worth the constipation for the 4 days of my trip in the beginning, or more. Also, I have not responded well to it in the past. And again, I really value my time on this trip. And then I'm trying to get pregnant. So I don't know, I don't know. So this time what I'm doing is I'm taking a couple of edible THC gummies beforehand so I can get sleepy. I have a planned project ahead of time. Like, I have 2 planned projects for each neck of the flights. Like, I have that all squared away. So like my vacation starts when I get there, now if I'm on the flight and I'm like enjoying myself, or I want to watch a movie with Nick or something like that, pleasant surprise on a flight, then great. I'll change my plans. I'll just, I won't. But the way I'm thinking of it is I'm not just sitting there in hell for 7 hours. Like, I have something to do. Pick something fun if you want. I also got a neck pillow that allows you to be able to sleep like any which way around, like each side, forward, whatever. And it has like a really comfy microfiber hood attached to it. So I don't know. I guess it's a sensory thing. I love resting with like a hood over my head. Now, like, it gets hot in the summer. You can't always be in hoodies. I mean, Luckily, I'm married to someone who's essentially always warm, so we keep it pretty freezing in here. But whatever. It has a hood that's great. It's very soft. It's the perfect weight. Let's see, a turtle pillow. I don't know. I'm gonna look up the one I got. I bought on Amazon. I also got this really ridiculous thing that I'm gonna record myself test blowing it up. Yes, blowing it up. It is an inflatable that you put in front of you on the, like, you put your arms in it. There's like holes. So you put your arms like this and you can put your face forward or like on the side. And it's a whole inflatable pillow that you hug the whole time. And it could be on your lap or on the tray. Cause I hate when I sleep on the tray like this on top of the, like on top of a hoodie or something. It's never enough. And my back always hurts. So I don't know, maybe it's ridiculous, but I'm gonna try blowing it up, which I think will be a hoot. I wear compression socks on flights and it's a lifesaver. Absolutely. Compression socks are huge. I find them very like comforting, honestly. The materials that they're made from these days, you know, they're like pretty breathable. They make really cute ones too. I can link a couple that I found, but absolutely. Hashimoto's, those of you with Hashimoto's, we swell. I probably don't have to tell you, we swell like anything when we're flying. So yes, thank you for reminding me, Chelsea. Compression socks are definite. Butt pad, a memory foam butt pad, because, you know, if your back hurts when you get there on vacation, it sucks, you know. So the least, they have them for like 10 bucks now on Amazon, which is crazy. And if you have longer until your trip, go on Temu. The Temu app, ridiculously cheap, everything on there. Let's see. Let's see what you guys are saying. Leg rest, I'm thinking about buying it. There's still enough time. I'm thinking it's like the one that like latches on to the food tray. So you can, I don't know why I have to move my hands, but it latches onto the food tray and then you can just like, I just like that it swings. You can't see my legs swinging. I don't know why I did that. But yeah, your legs can swing like right under the tray. And I just, that in itself, I'm like, and I was reading the reviews that it doesn't bother the people in front of you. Like they can't, I guess they asked, I don't know, but they said they're like, the people in front of us didn't say that they noticed anything. So I might buy that. Now, if you said that it works well, because I've been on the fence about it. I mean, I don't want to have to lug. I have this big pillow thing. I have my, you know, I'm like, but I might do it because my legs kill me on trips and there's not much I found. I did see an inflatable ottoman for like a airline approved inflatable ottoman, but I'm like, whose lungs are going to be doing this? Because between me and Nick, you know, so not our lungs. So I forewent the inflatable ottoman, but whoever did buy it looked super comfy. So my marathon runners in here, if you'd like to buy those, there you go. They also, I was thinking of getting those mats that are like the massage. Oh no, and then I figured, where am I going to put that to get that on the plane? But they have like the foot pad ones that have like the little spikes and stuff. They remind me of the Adidas slippers. But it's like a rounded footrest that you can just kind of, you can be a cat if you want and just like flex your feet on them. I wonder if they make small enough ones you can stick in a carry-on. Sleeping in flights is the best way for me to get through it. I try, but it's always uncomfortable. So I'll have to try it. That's what I'm hoping. The inflatable pillow will help. Because we did an overnight flight. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have my ADHD meds that day. It's going to be late at night. I'm probably going to be wired from running around, getting ready and everything throughout the day. No naps. I'm just going to be like, I'm going to treat myself like a toddler, you know, and just like get so tired when I get on that plane that the second we take off, I knock out. That's my hope. They also make compression sweatshirts that you can get. I was thinking about that as well. It's essentially a thunder jacket, like for your dog, but it looks like a little bit like a straight jacket, you know, but one you can get out of. And it's like, it's meant to just be really firm compression, which is supposed to help with sensory anxiety as well. I'm scared of taking a carry-on because I'm worried about putting it in the overhead bin. They do help you out with that. Like if you genuinely need help, that's what I'm saying. I know it's easier said than done and the feeling is valid, but ask for any and all help in your travels because, first of all, accessible travel should be just the standard. And like, nobody should have to be the person that makes that stand because you don't want to be, but people are there to help you, and you deserve to travel. You paid for that ticket as well. I try to sneak it under my seat, and a lot of times they don't even say anything, like, especially if it's not a huge carry-on. But yeah, we're trying to go to Greece. I don't know. We're trying to bring one suitcase that has barely anything in it because I'm so tired of not being able to bring stuff back from my grandpa's house whenever we go. So I want to be able to have room to pack stuff to bring home. And then pretty much everything else just in our carry-on for 2 weeks. Not bringing makeup, not bringing anything besides a brush. We're just going to do that and just see how it goes because I'll be in Greece and I don't care. If my hair is frizzy, I'm not spending time on it. So hopefully we can get away with just a carry-on. I can't stand waiting for bags. That's my least favorite, besides actually flying, like the baggage claim / customs upon return. Such a drag. Like, especially if you're flying to Newark Airport and you just went to some beautiful, thank God we're going to JFK this time, but like we just went to this beautiful destination and now I'm back in the armpit of travel because I can't stand that airport. And I'm waiting here for 35 minutes for bags. It's the worst. Carry on it up. Carry-ons are great. What else I got here for you guys? And then any questions? Okay, food-wise on vacation. So once we're there, right? Once you're there, take the first day to do what you want. Don't force yourself to be like, I can't waste it. Like, truly do it based on want. That's how you get adjusted. Again, if you're going to start your vacation stressed, the momentum is going to carry because you're going to start to realize that you just spent money to be stressed on vacation. So if that's why you're traveling, right? So when you're on vacation, here's my philosophy in terms of the first day. Find something to do that sounds exciting if your energy is great. Find something to do that would be exciting if you have very low threshold. Have that in your head for upon arrival, and then do what it is you want. If it's stay in the room and rest, if it's go out upon the town, whatever it is, rest or do that. I meant when it comes to food, don't go out looking for it. Don't go like, I'm on vacation, so like this crappy bread roll that like I wouldn't want at any given time, I'm going to eat it because it's during this period of time. Food, like things still hurt our body and affect us the way they will at home. So don't make your decisions just based on some kind of rebellion, because then that can get into the bingey territory. And then again, you're not enjoying your vacation. You're just going through binges on vacation, right? So instead, think about it this way. Don't say no to yourself when it comes to things you're genuinely excited to eat because you're on vacation. Like I went to Puerto Rico. Oh my God, I will never not eat a Mallorca sandwich from Puerto Rico. I cannot find it anywhere else. The bread is different. It is truly proprietary to the location, and I look forward to it. Like that's the first thing I'm getting when I go back to Puerto Rico. And I don't care. Yeah, I might have to recover. I might have the runs the next day. I'll plan my trip accordingly. Like factor it all into your worth it moment and know that like your weight, you weren't like about to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated before you went, right? None of us are. They don't even look like that, the models on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So like, why are we going to pick this vacation to be picky you in here? The balance is not trying to go for things that are just going to screw you over because it's vacation. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid you're going to go off the rails. You're definitely going to eat things you don't eat when you're home, but that's like you're on a trip, when we went to that all-inclusive trip to Mexico, like I was talking about, I was so conscious. Like I hated my wedding pictures, like hated them because I was flared up because I did way too much the day before. I was stressed and everything. So I woke up and I was just puffy. My makeup didn't look the same as it did during my trial. That's actually where I realized my face changes with inflammation, believe it or not. That's how long it took me to realize. But like my makeup was not the same as my trial, and I loved my trial makeup. I felt so gross that day, because not that I looked gross, but that like I felt like it wasn't what I planned, you know, like, I don't know. You guys know what I mean. Long story short, we get on honeymoon. We're on our 1 week trip, and I will not eat anything basically. Like, I'm living on hibachi veggies and meat at the buffet, like the insides of tacos. They had like all these different stations, and like we stayed at like a 5-star resort, right? So like they had great options. The best was on the night that I got to have a whole steak because we went to the steakhouse special and stuff like that. And it ran my whole trip. Like, I didn't even feel like I was present, and I like, what the hell did I take the time off to do this for? You know, and that's that's without Nick's UTI on our honeymoon and all of that, you know, like, or me being sick, you know, I was like, God forbid I eat a carb, you know, and then after that trip, I was like, I'm never doing that again. I don't give a shit if I gain 10 pounds on vacation. I mean, like, as long as I'm not incapacitated sick, like, I am going to, that's all that I'm going to be concerned about. Like, how much like will make me sick, and if it's worth it. And when it won't be worth it, I won't push. And I did that, and I was a lot better off. So my point, don't turn down the empanada and the rum beach and the rum punch on the beach. When are you going to have it again? Do turn down the crappy generic bread roll that they defrosted that morning and bring to everybody. Okay. It's not that hard a decision, I feel like. So just make it count, you know? Understand the recovery for things. Like, part of illness acceptance is, I know, like I said, if I'm going to eat this, this might be what happens. So it all factors into if it's worth it. In the page, I still have the worth it questions pinned to the top of the Facebook page. So if anyone needs a refresher, you know, check those out. But I don't mean them to make it like, those worth it questions aren't a means to make you think it's not worth it. Like, I'm not trying to reverse psychology anyone with those questions. There will be times in your life, for the rest of your life with these illnesses, where things will truly be worth the consequences of eating them. That's life. Do it and move on, you know? You'll be better, far better off. And then lastly, my favorite thing to remember, you look your best when you're enjoying your trip. That's it. You're not stressing about a zit or a belly line in a dress. You know, like, no one is less happy to be with you because you have a zit or a belly line in a dress. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody notices that stuff unless you're like, hey, look at this, look at this. And even then they're like, okay, or at least they should be. You know, like, don't spend money and take time out of your life and put stress on your body and visit somewhere that you might not be able to visit again, at least not for a while, preoccupied with things that like nobody else even notices, because then you're just choosing to make your trip less enjoyable, and it's not what you want. So, as per usual, these are all nuanced topics. There's a lot more that goes into it. I encourage and love text communication about this stuff so it can fit your specific situation. So don't hesitate, ask questions, text me, you know, put them in the chat if you want other people to see them. But I hope that this was helpful. I know it's not our usual kind of topic, but I've been asked a ton how I travel, and this is how I travel. So enjoy the rest of your night, and let me know if you need anything else. All right. Oh, and for when I go on vacation, I will be stateside until the 16th. So I'll be answering texts until then. Anything work related, I will be answering back when I get back to the States. It's like the 30th, whatever dates I put on the Facebook page. And then in the meantime, like I've mentioned, we have the wonderful Evie, Juliana, and Sophie, who are all extremely welcoming, knowledgeable, been with me for years. I trust them implicitly. So please feel free to utilize them. They're excited to hear from you guys, especially some of my own private clients that haven't had a chance to talk to them. So don't be nervous reaching out. Okay. And love y'all. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your night. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.